சிவா திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். நம பார்வதி பதையே ஹரஹர மகாதேவா. தென்னாடுடைய சிவனை போற்றி, எந்நாட்டவர்க்கும் இறைவா போற்றி. திருச்சிற்றம்பலம். I take pleasure in worshipping the golden feet of Lord Shiva, the golden feet of Srila Shri Gurumukha Sannidhanam, who holds the 24th Guru Vida of Thirukkailaya Paramparai, Meykanda Santhaanam, Thiruvavaduthurai Aadheenam, with the divine grace of Sri Gnanama Nadaraja Pirappan and the Guru grace of Aadheenam Guru Mudalva Sri Namashivaya Murtigal and Aadheenam Kuladaivam Srimad Madhava Sivayana Yogigal, with my mind, speech and action. Today we are going to discuss on the topic of Divine Life for Sri Thirugnanasambandar in a seminar which is being held online for 10 days by the divine instruction of Srila Shri Gurumukha Sannidhanam and the occasion of Vaikasi Moolam Sri Thirugnanasambandar Guru Pooja 2025. We all know that Sri Thirugnanasambandar started performing miracles from the age of 3. At the age of 3, he not only brought Thoniyappar and Thirunilai Nayaki, who were living in Thonippuram temple, to the bank of Sirgali, Brahmatirtha pond, where he was standing and crying. But he also had the privilege of drinking the milk of wisdom from the golden hand of Umayamai. Lord Shiva gave golden thalam that if he sings while putting thalam on his hand will turn red and the little one will get pain. While singing Madayilvalai Padigam in Thirukolaka, he got gold thalam encarved with the holy 5-letter script came to the little hand that sang it with rhythm. Will a thalam made up of gold make a sound? Will a thalam make up of gold make a sound? It won't, right? Umayammai gave a sound. Umayammai gave a sound to that golden thalam. He got pearl pallakku from Lord Shiva and sang Arathurai Adigaltham Arule Padigam. Muyilakan disease was cured by singing Thunivalar Tingal Padigam and cold disease by singing Avinaki Ivinayam Padigam. When he came to Tirupatishwaram, the summer heat was intense. Lord Shiva provided him with a pearl tent to protect him from the summer heat. When his father needs money to perform Sivavelvi, Thiruvavaduthurai Peruman gave Ulavakili. Ulavakili means money that never runs out. It can also always be used. It can always be used. He sang Sadaya Enumal and cured the poison in Tirumarigal. He sang Vasitirave to obtain Padikasu and absorb the famine in Tiruvili Milalai. Padikasu means allowance, money given for daily expenses. He got a temple door which had been closed by the Vedas, closed again in Tirumaraikad. He performed Suravadam, Kanalvadam, and rescued the Pandya kingdom and the Pandya king from the clutches of the jails. He performed both at Kolambudur. He defeated the Buddha in an argument at Tirutalicheri. In Tiruvuttur, he transferred male palm trees into female palm trees. Bold became a woman in Mylapore. At Nellore Perumanam, he united with Lord Shiva with all those who had attended his weddings. We can go on and on about the miracles Sri Thirugnanasambandar performed. The time when Sri Thirugnanasambandar was incarnated in the Jnana Bhumi, which we are proud to call Southland, the time when people stumbled from Saivism and went on wrong path, Sri Thirugnanasambandar was the one who relieved the suffering of the souls who had suffered due to their misguided path, brought them back to the correct path and guide them to the eternal happiness. Sri Thirugnanasambandar, the young and extraordinary Saiva sage who blessed the first 3 Tirumurai of the 12 Saiva Tirumurais. He is the one who does not think of anything other than the holy feet of Lord Shiva. Nambi Andar Nambi has mentioned Thirugnanasambandar's historical events here and there in all his 6 books. In the Tiruttonda Purana, Deva Chekilar has described his history as a Purana in 1256 verses. In the book of 4286 verses, 1256 verses are mentioned by Thirugnanasambandar history alone. That is why the proverb Pillai Padi, Paramparai was given. In the Chola country, in a town called Sirgali, which was 12 sacred names, Brahmapuram, Venupuram, Pukali, Venkuru, Thonipuram, Puntarai, Sirapuram, Puravam, Sanbai, Kochi, Kochivayam, Kalumalam. There lived a Vedic scholar named Sivabada Irudiyar of the Kauniyar tribe. He was called Sivabada Irudiyar because he was a person who developed the Vedic tradition, had the unique distinction of growing firmly in the field of Saivism. Born into this family, Sivabada Irudiyar, filled with Vedic teachings and Saivism, married Bhagavadiyar Marichelviyar, who came from the same Vedic clan as his life partner. Both of them were boundless devotees of the Saivism, followed by their ancestor, and without considering anything else but the holy feet of Lord Shiva. They were passionate on spreading the divine grace of Tiruniru throughout the country. At the time, the development of the Vedas declined due to the penetration of external religions like Jainism and Buddhism in Tamil Nadu. Realizing this situation, Sivabada Irudayar and Bhagavadiyar became very disturbed. They prayed to Ammayappa, who was sitting in Tirthonipuram, and observed a fast, hoping that they will get a son who would dispel the darkness of external religions and spreading the light of Saivism. They got what they prayed. On the auspicious day, when planets such as sun are at their highest position, on the day of Lord Shiva's Thiruvavaduthurai star, my Saivism and Vedas excel. May the davam done by the Tamil people be fulfilled. May the good deeds performed by the penetrants be fulfilled. In any direction, the south is the highest. Let the Tamil tradition conquer and improve the fields of foreign tradition. May musically and wisdom endure forever. May the grace of God be manifested everywhere. May the external religions that increase the sufferings of birth be illuminated and destroyed. In the Sirkali, a place of those in a state of davam, Sri Thirugnanasambandar incarnated will show the nature of Lord Shiva upon souls of any nature. All beings rejoiced at this birth. When Sri Thirugnanasambandar was 3 years old, he accompanied his father to take a holy dip in the Brahmatirtha of Sirkali temple. For all of us, darkness and light determine day and night, isn't it? When the sun comes up, it is dark. And when the sun sets, it is night. But in Sirkali, night comes with the smoke of homam made by the Vedics who recite the Vedas. And day comes with the light of the Vibhuti, because it's not a place of Maya objects like ours. It's a place of grace. Sivabada Irudayar left the child sitting on the bank of the pond, went down to the pond and chanted the mantra called Ahamarsana. Ahamarsana means the removal of sin. While immersed in water, chanting this mantra, thinking of the Lord and imagining that the Ganges water was falling on our heads from his feet, we performed a ritual of bathing. The child, who did not see his father, looked around and searched for his father. The Tiruttonipura Shigaram fell on his beautiful eyes. The davam he had done earlier was fulfilled. Seeing the Lord of Thonipuram with his wife, Umayammai, the little baby cried out loudly, "Oh, my mother and father! Oh, my mother, my father!" To bless the child who was crying out, "I want my mother and my father," the Lord immediately mounted his vehicle and appeared in the sky with Umayammai. If the Lord had boarded in the vehicle with Ammai, it means that he is coming to bless us. Lord Shiva told Umayammai to feed her with milk, which is a mixture of Kalanyanam and Meykanda. The Ammai mixed the sweet nectar of Sivanyanam with milk in a golden pot, wiped the crying child's eyes, and said, "Drink the milk, baby." The Lord blessed the child by stopping his crying. Feeling jealous, right? If he had cried so hard at the age of 3, would the Lord have blessed us like this? So, what is that Sivanyanam, Kalanyanam, Meynyanam? Sivanyanam is to attain Shiva and abandon the world. What is Kalanyanam? Kalanyanam is to help one realize that the Supreme Being is the Supreme Being and to remain united with it without interruption. So, what is Meynyanam? Meynyanam is to prevent the impurity. That is the case of birth. After praying and taking a dip in the Brahmatirtham, Sivapada Irdaya saw the baby with milk flowing from his mouth. He got angry that someone had given milk to his beloved baby. We were going shopping with our children. What would happen if someone gave our children chocolate while we were busy shopping? And the child bought it and ate it and came back to us with the chocolate all over his face. Wouldn't that make us angry? That kind of anger. He picked up the stick lying on the ground as if he was hitting the child, said, "Who gave you this milk? Who gave you this milk? Show me the person who gave you this milk to make you to drool like this." Sri Thirugnanasambandar also said, "The one who fed me milk, here is Lord Shiva, who is sitting in a bull with Umayamai in the sky with his little finger." And with signs, he blessed the Tirupadigam, which begins with Thodudaya Seviyan. The stick in the hand of Sivapada Irdaya slipped down. He looked at the place where the child he had begotten through Davam pointed out with surprise, joy, and tears. The Lord was not visible to his eyes, but he understood the meaning of the song that was sung. Everyone nearby on the bank of the pond understood it. Everyone who came to worship the Lord in the temple understood it. All the people of Sirkali understood it. The Vanava showered flowers from the sky. The Sivagananadas, the Kinnaras, and the Kantarubas rang out auspicious sounds. The sacred instrument rang out. The ascetics rushed to surround them. And the devotees who came to worship him with maturity and devotion, Tiruttoniyappa, who made the ocean of births disappear, reached the peak of Thonipuram with Umayammai. With joy and happiness, everyone went to the temple and worshipped the Lord of Brahmapuram. If you ask our 3-year-old child to describe a person, he will tell you that he got a big earrings in his ears. He came on a white color motorbike. He got a helmet on his head. He got a necklace around his neck. He got a belt around his waist. He smelled very good. And there was a beautiful lady next to him. We also said, hey, how carefully our child is observing and describing the things beautifully. We will be amazed, won't we? This child sings beautifully. The meaning of the song is beyond imagination. It is also a way of answering the father who asked, "Who gave you milk?" It is also a way of praying and glorifying the qualities of God that he has seen with his own eyes as a result of the wisdom he has acquired. It is also a way of showing the path to eternal happiness for the beings of the world. Meditating on the divine form of God in mind is called Dhyana Sloka in Sanskrit. Meditating on the divine form of God in mind is called Dhyana Sloka. This Dhyana Sloka, which contains the characteristics and general nature of God, should be chanted as many times as possible. Should be chanted as many times as possible. One should keep thinking about it whenever possible. One should keep telling others about it wherever possible. What will be gained by doing this? What will be gained by doing this? Sri Thirugnanasambandar says, Tolvinai Thirum in his first Padigam. All our troubles will be resolved. How? Saivism says that it is our nature. What is our nature? Santhaanam Sarudal is soul's nature. When we depend on something, we also become like that. That is the qualities of those who we are associated will also come to us. The qualities of those with whom we are associated with will also come to us. If we always remember God, divinity will also come to us. If God is always with us, then how come the trouble will trouble us? Isn't it? That is the secret. There may be those of us who have sung this Padigam once. There may be those who have sung it 10 times. There may be those who have sung it 100 times. There may be those who have sung it 1,000 times. There may be those who have sung it 100,000 times. Some will get the benefit immediately after reading it, while others will continue to get the benefit as they read it. The formula will work according to our maturity and the karma we have done. No matter who we are, no matter what kind of mistakes we did, there will be definitely be the benefit. You know, what Lord Shiva looked when he appeared to Sri Thirugnanasambandar? He was wearing a ring in one ear and a hoop in the other. He was sitting on a bull. He placed Umabharathy on his left side. He wore a crescent moon on his head. He spread ashes from the ceremonial ground all over his body. He wore a garland of tortoise shell and big tooth tied to a snake. He was carrying a Kabbalah in his hand. His hair was red in color. He had a Ganges in it. He was wearing a garland of kondrai flower. He was carrying a fire in one hand. He was carrying a mace in the other hand. He had peeled the dark black skin of an arrogant elephant and wrapped it around himself. You know what kind of person he is? You know what kind of person he is? He is the Lord of Brahma, who blessed Brahma, who prayed for the profession of creation. He is the Lord of Brahma, who is worshipped by the wise man who study, listen to, and contemplate the scriptures. He is the Lord of Brahma, who was not destroyed even during the time of the flood. He was the Lord of Brahma, who destroyed the three demons who were flying in the sky with a sign arrow, with a single arrow. He is the Lord of Brahma, who floated like a boat when the ocean destroyed the world during the Sankara era. No matter how big a mistake we have done, if we repent for it and make a commitment not to make a mistake again and worship Him with devotion, He will forgive all our mistakes and bless us with His grace. If we abandon the ignorance of who and mine, we can easily find Him. If we listen to the words of ignorant people, we will go on the wrong path and experience more and more sufferings. The simplest way to escape from our trouble is to sing Tirumurai. The next day, Sri Thirugnanasambandar woke up early in the morning and went to the Sirkali temple to worship and praise the gods. When he went to worship the Lord, who was enshrined in the nearby temple called Thirukkailaya, standing in front of the Lord, he sang the Thirupadigam that begins with Madayil Valaipaya, with his slender hands, tapping his fingers. Saying this, Lord Kolaka felt bad that the little child's tiny hands will get hurt by tapping and gave him a golden Tiruthalam, which was inscribed with the holy five-letter words Thiru Aindaduthu into Sri Thirugnanasambandar's hand and made it fix. Sri Thirugnanasambandar held it above his head and praised with joy. Then he reached the Sirkali temple and sang the Thirupadigam, beginning with Poovar Kondrai, and reached his house. At the request of the people, Tirunanipalli, the birthplace of Sri Thirugnanasambandar's mother, Bhagavadiyar, he obtained permission from the lords of Srikali and reached Tirunanipalli sitting on his father's shoulder. By singing the Tirupadigam, Karaigal Kugai Mullai. The dry land of Tirunanipalli became fertile land. Later, while turning to Sirkali after visiting many holy places, Thirunilakanda Yalpanar and his wife Madanga Sulamani reached Sirkali to see Thirugnanasambandar after hearing about his miraculous deeds. Thirugnanasambandar welcomed them both and went with them to the temple to worship. After that, all came to Thirukkailaya to worship Lord Shiva. There, Sri Thirugnanasambandar sang verses and Thirunilakanda Yalpanar played those verses in Yal instrument. From there, Sri Thirugnanasambandar got down from his father's shoulder and walked towards Thiruvavaduthurai. Lord Shiva, thinking that the child's little foot would hurt. Lord Shiva, thinking that the child's little foot would hurt, gave him a pearl palakku, an umbrella, and a musical instrument called Chinnam. Sri Thirugnanasambandar chanted the holy five-letter mantra, remembering the great grace of Shiva, and sat on the pearl palakku. He reached the temple of Thiruvavaduthurai while blowing Chinnam under a pearl umbrella. Then he sang the Tirupadigam, beginning with Endai Isanem Perumal. After staying for a few days at Thiruvavaduthurai and visiting many places in a pallakku, he reached his hometown, Sirkali. He was 7 years old at that time. According to the custom of his clan, they performed Umabharathy ceremony for him. In this situation, he sang Tirupadigam, beginning with Tunchalum Tunchalillada Poldinum, to make the Vedics aware of the fact that the root mantra is Thiru Aindaluthu, which is the cause of all mantras. This says that Saiva should perform Samaya Diksha on their children in their 7th year. After the Umabharathy ceremony, while Sri Thirugnanasambandar was staying in Sirkali, Sri Thirunavukarasar, who had come to worship Ambalavannar in Pillai, was delighted to hear from his devotees about the incident in which Sri Thirugnanasambandar had attained the knowledge of Saiva in the third year and came to Sirkali with great desire to see him. When Sri Thirugnanasambandar met Sri Navukarasar, who had come to Sirkali to see him, he greeted him with Appare and was delighted. And Sri Thirunavukarasar also greeted him with Aadheenam and was delighted. Sri Thirugnanasambandar worshipped at many places and reached the holy place called Thirupachilachiram. The daughter of the king living in the town had contracted a disease called Muyalagan. Despite various treatment, the disease did not subside. Therefore, considering the feet of the Lord, he is the only help, the king made the girl lie on the ground before the Lord. The king, knowing that Sri Thirugnanasambandar was coming to the temple, he met him and told him what had happened to his daughter. Sri Thirugnanasambandar sang the Tirupadigam, beginning with Thunivalar Tingal. The king's daughter woke up from her illness after the Padigam was over. Then, after visiting many holy places, Sri Thirugnanasambandar reached a town called Tiruchengalpattu in the Kongu country. It was winter at the time. So, some of the devotees who had come with him were suffering from a cold disease. Saying this, Sri Thirugnanasambandar sang the Tirupadigam that begins with Avinekki Vinayam. At that moment, the disease was cured not only for the people living in the town, but also for the entire country. From there, Sri Thirugnanasambandar, who had been visiting many places to worship the Lord there, reached Tirupatishwaram. As he went to the temple in the hot midday sun, so that the heat of the sun did not hit him, the Siva Buddhas were hiding in the sky, holding a pearl tent. The devotees spread out their hands and held the pearl tent that descended from the sky. They reached the Tirupatishwaram temple and the shade of the pearl tent. Sri Gnanasambandar worshipped the Lord who had given the shadow and sang a padigam beginning with Padal Marai Sudal Madi. Sri Gnanasambandar left from the and went to many places to worship the gods there and reached Thiruvavaduthurai. At that moment, Sri Gnanasambandar's father informed him that the time he had come to for him to perform Siva weaving and that he needed money for it. Hearing this, Sri Gnanasambandar also sang a padigam beginning with Idarinum Talarinum to the gods of Thiruvavaduthurai, asking for money. Then Siva Buddha appeared before Sri Thirugnanasambandar, placed a golden pouch containing 1,000 gold coins on the altar in the shrine and said, "This golden pouch is a pouch of gold coins that never dispenses. It has been given to you by God," and disappeared. Sri Sambandar, who held the golden pouch on his head and admired it, gave it to his father. Then, after visiting many places, Sri Thirugnanasambandar reached Tirudharmapuram. This was the birthplace of the mother of Thirugnanasambandar Yalpana, who accompanied with him. Therefore, his people greeted Sri Thirugnanasambandar and praised him. The place where Dharmapura Aadheenam is located is different. The place where Dharma Aadheenam is located is different. This is different. This place is on the bus route from Tirunallur to Karaikal. The relatives of Meykanda Yalpanar at Dharmapuram said, "It is because you are playing the Tirupadigas in Yal instrument that its music is spreading everywhere." Hearing this, Thirugnanasambandar shocked, bowed down to Sri Sambandar and requested him to sing a Tirupadigam so that his relatives and others would know and appreciate that the music of the Tirupadiga is an uncontrollable nature. Sri Gnanasambandar sang the Tirupadigam, which begins with Madar Madapidi, which was not included in the musical instrument of the Tirupadiga, and praised the Lord Dharmapuram. Then, as usual, Thirugnanasambandar, who had started playing it on the yal in his hand, realizing that the music of the Tirupadiga did not fit into the yal, and fell at Sambandar's feet and worshipped. Then, since the music of the Tirupadiga could not be accepted on the yal, Sri Nilakanda rushed to break the yal in his hand, saying that it was useless to touch this yal anymore. Sri Sambandar stopped eating, took the yal in his hand and asked, "Can all the glory of Lord Shiva be contained in this instrument?" "No." Therefore, he said, "Sing and play the music of the Tirupadiga as best you can," and gave the yal back to him. This is why the title Yalmuri came to be for this Padigam. Madayil Madar Madapidi. Yalmuri is not a pun. It is not known what the pun is for this Padigam. However, nowadays it is sung in the Adana Raga. Sri Nilakanda also took back the yal and resumed his musical duties as before. Then Sri Sambandar stayed at the place for a few days and left to worship the Lord at the other places. After reaching Tirunallur, Sambandar sang the Tirupadigam, Bogamartha Punmulayar. Sambandar reached Thiruchitrambalam from Nallur. There, Thirugnanasambandar welcomed Sri Sambandar and invited Thirugnanasambandar Yalpana and others who had come with Sri Sambandar with his house and praised them. Sri Sambandar went with him to the temple and sang a Padigam there. In that Padigam, he was praised and sang the glory of the Nayanar. Later, after seeing the Lord in many places, singing and rejoicing, Sri Sambandar reached Thiruchengalpattu. In the town, Paranjodiyar Siritonda Nayanar, who had previously been the commander of the Pallavas, welcomed Sri Sambandar with pleasure. Sri Sambandar also went with him to the temple called Ganapatishwaram and sang and praised the God there. In that Padigam, he was praised and sung the glory of Siritonda Nayanar's Thirutonda. It is good to remembering the story of Sri Sambandar singing and praising the Siva devotees who lived during Samandar's time. Sri Samandar left from there and reached the place called Thirumarugal and sat there worshipping the Lord. That day, a merchant, taking an unmarried girl with him, was going to his temple. As the sun had set, he stayed the night at a monastery near the Thirumarugal temple. In the middle of the night, while the merchant was sleeping, a snake bit him. He collapsed from exhaustion as the poison reached his head. At that moment, the unmarried woman who had come with him, unable to touch him and help him because she was not married to him, cried and wailed. Hearing that cry, some of the villagers called a magician who can remove the poison, but the poison did not go away. The woman, indescribably saddened by this, wept for Lord Thirumarugal. The next day at dawn, Sri Samandar, who had come to worship Thirumarugal Peruman, heard his cry. He asked her the reason for her crying. The woman fell at Sri Samandar's feet and burst into tears. His father's name is Daman from Vayapur. This person who was bitten by a snake here is my father's son-in-law. My father had 7 daughters, including me. He had promised to marry one of them to him, but due to money, he married her off to someone else. Having trusted my father and being deceived, I took pity on him and came with him without anyone knowing. He also died here after being bitten by a snake, she said, in this state of being without anyone. You who have come here like my relative, please relieve my sufferings. Hearing the sad news, Sri Samandar, heartbroken, worshipped Lord Thirumarugal and sang the Thirupadigam, beginning with Sadaya Enumal. The merchant's poison was gone and he woke up. Sri Samandar arranged for the 2 of them to be married. From there, Sri Samandar reached Thiruchengalpattu with Siruthonda and stayed there with him for a few days. Then they reached Thirupugalu. There he worshipped the Lord with Sri Thirunavukarasar, Sri Murugan Nayanar, Sri Neelanakka Nayanar, and Sri Thiruthondar. From there, he went to many places with Sri Thirunavukarasar. They met Thirukkailaya Nayanar at Thirukkailaya and reached Thiruvillumalai. At the time, there was a famine due to lack of rain. All living beings suffering from hunger. Hunger also bothered the devotees of Lord Shiva. Seeing this, Sri Samandar and Sri Navukarasar became sad. That night, the Lord appeared to them in their dreams and said, in order to relieve the sorrow of your devotees, I will give you paisa each day in the eastern and western pedestal of this temple every day until this famine ends. And then he disappeared. When the 2 entered the temple that morning, seeing the money on the eastern pedestal, Sri Samandar prayed to the Lord, took it, and beat drums at both times, saying that all the devotees of Shiva should come and eat, and offered the Thiru Amudu to all the devotees who came to his mud. Sri Thirunavukarasa also took the money, kept on the western pedestal, and continued to provide the food to the devotees of Shiva every day. The devotees at Thirunavukarasa's mud ate their food on time. The devotees at Samandar's mud were late in eating their food. Sri Samandar, knowing this, asked the reason. They replied, if we go to buy things with the money we get, we ask for vatam. They accepted Navukarasa's money without vatam. This says that it is the reason for the delay. Hearing that, Sri Samandar prayed to God in the next morning, hoping that he would receive the money in good condition and chanted the Thirupadigam, Vasi Thirave Kasanalli, and received good money without any issue. The devotee who received it received the goods on time and provided food at the right time. In a few days, rain fell everywhere and the famine ended. Sri Samandar and Sri Navukarasar left Thiruvillumalai with a group of followers and reached Thirumaraikkadu after worshipping many places. The 2 of them walked around the temple, entered the tower, and approached the 3rd gate. Since the gate was closed, always closed, the devotees built a gate on the other side and went through it usefully to worship. Sri Samanta requested Sri Navukarasa to sing to open the door that was closed by the Vedas. In accordance with that request, Navukarasa sang the Tirupadigam, Panninir Muriyal Umai Pangaro, and the door that was locked opened quickly. Overjoyed, the two entered the temple with their devotees and sang and worshipped the Lord. After coming out after worshipping, Navukarasa turned to Samandar and requested him to sing to close the temple door. And Samandar also sang. The door closed itself while singing the verse Saduram Maraidan. Samandar sang the other padigams, other verses of the padigam while standing outside the temple and completed the padigam with a Kadaikapu, Thirukkailaya. Sri Navukarasa, who sang to open the door, and Sri Samandar, who sang to close it, sang and blessed the same set of 11 songs. Navukarasa and Samandar sang 10 songs, standing outside the temple. Both of them sang each song standing inside the temple. So there is no ups and downs in the padigam of both. Sri Navukarasa, thinking about the two events, how he had managed to open the sacred door with difficulty, and how it has been easily closed by Samandar, was sleeping in the monastery, thinking that it was a mistake to have entered and opened the door without knowing the God's instruction. Then Lord Shiva appeared before Sri Navukarasa and said, "We will be in Thiruvavaduthurai, follow us." Navukarasa also got up and followed him with his hands folded above his head. At the time, Sri Samandar, who had not seen Sri Navukarasa, he had the followers says that he had gone to Thiruvavaduthurai and went in search of him. Navukarasa, who was saddened by not seeing the Lord, who had come to take him away on the way, was happy to see when he saw Samandar who was looking for him. Then Lord Thiruvavaduthurai appeared before Samandar and danced and bestowed his blessings. Samandar was delighted to show the miraculous sight he had seen to Navukarasa. Both of them stayed in Thiruvavaduthurai for a few days, worshipping the Lord, and then returned to Thirumarai. At the time, a king named Poon Pandian ruled the Pandya kingdom. He fell into the miscegenation of the Jains and left his Saivism and became a Jain. Following the Pandya king, the people of the Pandya country also embraced Jainism. Saiva worship was suppressed. All the temples in the Pandya country were ruined and turned into Jain schools. The Pandya country became the camp of the Jain. The Jain darkness enveloped the Pandya country. The Saivotis suffered greatly. It was during this period that Mangair Karasiyar, who had grown up immersed in the worship of Shiva in Chola country, married to Pandian and came to Madurai as his bride. Seeing the plight of Madurai, she prayed to Chokkanatha Peruman in anguish. And Somasundaram God also granted his mercy. Working with the minister Kolachirai, Thirugnanasambandar Peruman rescued the Pandya king and the Pandya country. The Jains set fire to the monastery where Thirugnanasambandar Peruman was seen, who had come to the Pandyan country at the invitation of Mangair Karasiyar. Samandar turned the fire back to the Pandyan, saying, "Payyave sentre Pandiyarukku agave." The Pandyan also fell ill with fever. Despite all the efforts of the palace doctors and the Jains, they could not cure him. Illness increased. Accepting the request of Pandima Devi, Thirugnanasambandar Peruman chanted the mantra, "Mantiram avadu neeru," and applied the holy ash Tiruniru on the Pandyan's body, and the disease was cured. The Pandyan realized the glory of Tiruniru and became a follower of Saivism. The angry Jains invited the Thirugnanasambandar Peruman to a debate. It was decided that there would be two debates, the Analvadam and the Punalvadam. The debate began with the condition that those who lost in both would be washed away. In the Analvadam, the Jains' Olechuvadi were burned. The Thirugnanasambandar Peruman's Olechuvadi did not burn. After that, in the Punalvadam, the Jains' Olechuvadi were washed away in the flowing water. The Thirugnanasambandar Perumal Solichavadi floated in the opposite direction of the water. The Thirugnanasambandar Perumal won. The Jain Solichavadi were washed away. The darkness of the outer world was removed. The sun of Saiva shone. Samantha stayed in Madurai for a few days. Then he worshipped other places in the Pandya country. Then he left the country and reached the banks of the Mullaya river with his followers, worshipping many places. The Mullaya river was in high flood. The boatsmen had left their boats tied on the bank. Samantha wanted to worship the Lord of Thirukkailaya, which was located on the other side of the river. He untied the boat, tied on the bank, placed his devotees on it, and worshipped the Lord by singing the Thirupadigam, Kottame Kamalum. Before the Thirupadigam was over, the boat reached the other bank. He went to the temple with his devotees and worshipped the Lord. Later, when he came near Bodhimangai, where the Buddhas lived, after worshipping at Tirutalicheri, a Buddhist scholar named Buddhanandi challenged Samantha's followers to a debate, hoping to defeat the Saivotis. A follower who was writing the Padigam of Sri Samantha Anavolichuvadi, a song called Buddhar Saman Karukayar, and said angrily, "May thunder fall on his head and he will fall down." The head of the Buddhanandi was cut off and fell down. Seeing that, the Buddhas were scared and ran away. The Samantha worshipped and praised the Lord of Thirukkailaya and worshipped at many places. While he was on his way, he wanted to see Thirunavukkarasar, knowing that Navukkarasar was in Tiruppunduruthi. He went to Tiruppunduruthi in a palanquin, knowing that Samantha had arrived. Navukkarasar joined the crowd of devotees and came carrying Samantha's pearl palanquin. Then a certain emotion arose in Samantha's heart, and he asked his devotees, "Where is supper now?" Hearing this, Navukkarasar stood up and said, "Your Aadheenam, I have come here because I have received the great life that your feet can support." Samantha quickly got down from the palanquin and asked, "How can you do this?" and bowed to Thirunavukkarasar. "What else could a simple person do for Gnanasambandar?" he asked kindly. And Navukkarasar bowed back too. All the devotees standing there were moved to tears upon seeing this scene and praised them. Then the two great lords stayed at Tiruppunduruthi for a few days and enjoyed themselves immensely. Having heard about the events in the Pandya country, Navukkarasar took leave of Samantha and set out of the Pandyan country. Samantha worshipped at many places and reached Sirkali. He entered the Tirutonipuram temple in Sirkali and sang and praised the Padigam, Utru Umai Servadu Meyinaye. He asked Meykanda Alpanar to go to his house, that Samantha went to his home, and his mother happily welcomed him. Samantha worshipped places like Thiruvannamalai from Sirkali and reached a place called Thiruvavaduthurai and praised the Lord. At the time, a Shiva devotee came to Samantha and said that I had grown palm trees by pouring water for the Shiva devotees. Not a single palm tree I grow born fruit. Knowing this, the Jain insulted me by asking, "Can Lord Shiva make these palm trees bear fruit?" Hearing this, Sambandar entered the temple and sang the Padigam, Putte Ragina. By the time of the Padigam was completed, all the male palm trees were to turn into female palm trees and had borne fruit. The devotee was delighted. The Jains abandoned Jainism and embraced Saivism. From Thiruvavaduthurai, Samantha worshipped at places like Kanjipuram, Thirualankadu, Thirukkailaya, and reached Thiruchitrambalam. A bird called phoenix in Egyptian and Greek mythology that can burn itself into ashes and then rise from the ashes. An imaginary bird used to describe the nature of immortality, rebirth. Similarly, now we are going to think about the miracle of the resurrection of the Pumbavai, which had been died and turned into ashes for many years, and the miraculous story of the Thirugnanasambandar Perumal, who turned the Pumbavai, which was lying in a pot of bones and ashes, into woman and brought it back to life. The bird phoenix is imaginary, but Pumbavai is real. The miracle of turning a bone into woman has been written by the Deva Cheklar in 87 verses in the Periya Puranam. Let's first look at who Pumbavai was and how it turned into bones and ashes and lie in a pot. And then look at the miracle of turning bone into woman. Okay. There was a merchant named Sivanesar in Mylapur who made a lot of money by trading slaves. He had great love and devotion of Lord Shiva and his devotees. He heard about the greatness of Sri Thirugnanasambandar and was amazed at his divine qualities. After being married for a long time, he did davam because he was not blessed with a child. What kind of davam is that? The great davam of worshipping Lord Shiva and worshipping the devotees of Shiva. As a result of the davam, his wife got a blessed womb. A girl child was born with the beauty of Thirumagal appearing on lotus. Sivanesar was overjoyed to see the child who had emerged at the right time. He enjoyed himself by disturbing the food and clothes to Lord Shiva devotees and others. He performed Sadhakanmam according to the Vedic rules, and after 10 days, he performed Puniga Vasanam. He named the child Pumbavai because she was so beautiful as Lakshmi appearing on a lotus. The child turned 7 years old. Seeing Pumbavai growing in beautifully and character, Sivanesar was delighted, thinking that the woman who marries her would be the owner of all my belongings. At the same time, news was coming in that Thirugnanasambandar had gone to Madurai, and that the Pandian has been cured from his fever by the grace of Lord Chakanadar and had defeated the Jains by using Analvadam and Punalvadam. Hearing this, Sivanesar was delighted. He gave gold coins, money, and clothes to those who had told him the news. Then, contemplating Thirugnanasambandar in his mind, he prayed towards the direction and said, I have dedicated my daughter, Pumbavai, my belongings, and myself to Thirugnanasambandar. He pulled Kannimadam for Pumbavai. One day, Pumbavai, who was staying there with her friends, went with her friends to pick flowers in the Nandavanam, began the Kannimadam. While picking flowers, a snake bit her finger. She immediately fainted, and her friends carried her to the house. Seeing her condition, Sivanesar and those around her were heartbroken and worried a lot. Immediately, Sivanesar called the enchanters who were supposed to remove the poison and had them chant suitable mantras. The doctors administered various medicine. Despite all this, the poison did not subside and went to the head. Finally, the soul of Pumbavai separated from her body. The enchanter said, this is fate, and left. The people around and relatives fell on the dead body of Pumbavai and screamed. Sivanesar was deeply distressed and thought what to do next. If anyone can solve this problem, I will give him an immense sum of money, Parai announced. For the first 3 days, many people from many places came and tried everything they could. No one's effort was successful. Sivanesar serenaded the body of his beloved daughter and stored the ashes in a pot, saying, since we have already said that she belongs to Thirugnanasambandar Perumal, we have no regrets about this, and placed that pot in the Kannimadam for safekeeping. He dressed in cloths and ornaments, garlanded her with sandalwood. He performed the holy rites every day, lit a lamp, and offered offerings. At this time, Thirugnanasambandar Perumal came to Tiruvattriyur on a pilgrimage. The people who came from there informed Sivanesar about it. Hearing this, Sivanesar was pleased and gave them gold, valuable things, and did what was necessary to bring Thirugnanasambandar Perumal to Mailai. Thirugnanasambandar Perumal also came to Mailai. Devotees and others gathered there. People of the other region also gathered there, eager to see what was happening. Thirugnanasambandar Perumal began to sing a Tirupadigam, saying, if it is true that it is of great benefits to those born in the world to make nectar of the devotees of Lord Shiva and to witness the auspicious festival of that Lord, then let her come before the people of the world. மண்ணினில் பிறந்தார் பெரும் பயன் மதிசூடும் அண்ணலார் அடியார் தம்மை அமுது செய்தித்தல். கண்ணினால் அவர் நல்விழா பொலிவு கண்டு ஆத்தல் உண்மையாம் எனில் உலகர் முன் வருகையின உரைப்பார், says Divine Chekilar. The verse was sung by calling Pumbavai. The verse was sung by calling Pumbavai. Two women have the honor of being called by Thirugnanasambandar Perumal. One was Mangair Karasiya, who sang the Tirupadigam begins with Mani Nervili Madarai, and the other was Pumbavai. Matittam Punnayang Kanal Madamayilai, Kattirang Kondan, Kabalichramamandaan, Otitta Panvil Urthira Palakanathar, Kattiral Kanade Podiyo Pumbavai. Is the first verse of that Padigam. Thirugnanasambandar Perumal began to sing the Padigam, and he sang each verses. As he sang each verse, Pumbavai slowly took her form in the part. After 10 verses, the part broke and she grew into a 12-year-old girl, becoming very beautiful. Thirugnanasambandar Perumal also sang Thirukkailaya and concluded the Padigam. Seeing the woman standing up alive, everyone cheered. The chant of Hara Hara increased. Pumbavai, who stood in the state of beauty, bowed down to the Lord and fell at the feet of Thirugnanasambandar. Sivanesar and others fell at his holy feet. And Thirugnanasambandar Perumal told him to take his daughter and go to his palace. Sivanesar bowed down to him and said, "My lord, you should marry her. My lord, you should marry her." Thirugnanasambandar Perumal replied him that the woman you gave birth to died of poison. The woman you gave birth to died of poison. She was born while I was watching by the grace of Lord. She was born while I was watching by the grace of God. It is not proper to marry her. He blessed him and sent him away. Sivanesar took her away, saying, "I will not give her to anyone else." She lived by performing dabas. Thirugnanasambandar Perumal also worshipped Kabalishwarar and left Mylapur. This is the miraculous story of how bone became a woman. Okay. How did bone become a woman? Let's see now. Thirugnanasambandar Perumal looked at the pot filled with bones and ashes. What he did? He looked at the pot filled with bones and ashes. How did he look? He looked like a potter looking at the pot in the clay before making it. Before carving the statue, the sculptor looked at the stone as he was seeing the statue. He created it in his mind, saw it, and performed a diksha of seeing and looked at the pot. Inside the pot, he saw outside were bones and ashes. Inside, that was fully developed body of Pumbavai. And inside that, he saw the soul of Pumbavai. He saw the body and soul of Pumbavai. How it is possible? How it is possible? C.K. Saiva says, when the great artist Newton, who found a big toe bone in the forest and saw its entire body, is prized as a feat of aristocratic wisdom. For someone at the peak of Sannidhanam to see a pile of bones and the body belongs to that bone and the soul of that body together. Isn't it rare? It is simple, right? What did Thirugnanasambandar Perumal see in the part? He saw the body of the Pumbavai and her soul in it. What he see in that part? He saw the body of the Pumbavai and her soul in it. He calls her by her name, Pumbavai. He calls her by her name, Pumbavai, and orders her, "Are you going?" What is he doing? He calls her by her name, Pumbavai, and orders are you going in this world? In this world, we perform certain rituals to ensure that the soul of that has left the body attains auspiciousness, isn't it? The bone of the deceased person are placed in pure water to perform a ritual. The ritual performed with the bones is transferred to the body through the continuity of the bone to the life, to the soul within that body, isn't it? Thus, when Thirugnanasambandar saw the bone and ashes and called it Poombaavai with the grace of Siva Peruman, it left its Sukuma body, it left its Stula body and entered the soul of the Poombaavai. It left its Stula body and entered the soul of the Poombaavai, which stood as a Sukuma body. What is that Stula body and Sukuma body? Saivism says that souls have 5 kosas and 3 bodies. What are they? Stula body or physical body. 1. Stula body or physical body consisting of the Annamaya kosha. Number 2. Sukuma sariram or subtle body consisting of the Pranamaya kosa, Manumaya kosa and Vijnanamaya kosa. Number 3. Karana sariram or casual body consisting of Annamaya kosha. There is a total of 3 bodies and 5 kosas. The physical body, that is Stula body, is the body given to us in return for the karmas we have performed. It is divided into 3 categories. The physical body divided into 3 categories. Buddha body, Buddhachara body and Yadana body. We come to earth in physical body, that is Buddha body, to experience the consequences of our karma. Buddha body is for us to put on while we are in this world. When time is up, we leave our physical bodies on the earth and go to heaven with our Sukuma body. Why do we go? To enjoy the benefits of good deeds we have done in this birth. There will be given another body there, where in heaven we will get another body. It will be a body given to us to enjoy the pleasure given to us in heaven. That is called Buddhachara body. Once the time of enjoying pleasure is over, we leave the body given to us in heaven and return to hell with our Sukuma body. To enjoy the benefits of the evil deeds we committed in this birth. In hell, the body given to suffer the torment of hell is called the Yadana body. Once the time of suffering is over, we leave the Yadana body in hell and return to Sukuma body to be reborn on earth. Thus, the call of Thirugnanasambandar reaches the soul of Poombaavai, who had lost her soul, Stula body and remained in Sukuma body. When each verse of the Tirupadigam is sung by Thirugnanasambandar, Poombaavai, who had Sukuma body alone, was reborn with 5 sense organs, 5 mudra organs, and 5 gross elements fixed one by one. This world has a uniqueness. It is a special quality, a quality that no other world above or below has. What is that quality? What is that quality? It can be done only in this world. What is that? What is that? மண்ணினில் பிறந்தார் பெரும் பயன் மதிசூடும் அன்னலார் அடியார் தமை அமுது செய்வித்தல் கண்ணினால் அவர் நல்விழா பொலிவு கண்டு ஆர்த்தல் உண்மையாம் எனில் உலகர் முர் வருக என உரைப்பார் says divine Chengalpattu. Only those born on this earth can do it. What is that? மதிசூடும் அன்னலார் அடியார் தமை அமுது செய்வித்தல். Feeding the devotees of Lord Shiva. கண்ணினால் அவர் நல்விழா பொலிவு கண்டு ஆர்த்தல். Enjoying the festivals held at Lord Shiva's temple. Those who exist only on earth, both of those are acts of devotion to Lord Shiva. These acts are called as Siva Punyam. If you want to do these merits, you have to come and be born in this earth. What would happen if you do Siva Punyam? If you do this Siva Punyam, மண்ணுலகில் பிறந்து நுமை வாழ்த்தும் வழியடியார் பொன்னுலகம் பெறுதல் தொண்டனேன் என்று கண்டொழிந்தேன் says நம்பியாரூரர். What does the golden world means? It means immortality. So, if you're born on the earth, and perform these merits, what will we get? We will get immortality. So what is the purpose of taking human birth in this world? What is the purpose of taking human birth in this world? மானுட பிறவி தானும் வகுத்து ஆனுட பிறவி தானும் வகுத்தது மணவாக்காயம் ஆனிடத்து 5 மாடும் அரண்பணிக்காக மன்றோ. ஆனிடத்து 5 ஆடும் அரண்பணிக்காக மன்றோ. வானிடத்தவரும் மண்மேல் வந்து அரண்தனை அச்சிப்பர் ஊனெடுத்து உழலும் ஊமர் ஒன்றையும் உணராரந்தோ. Says Thirugnanasambandar. What is the purpose of taking human birth in this world? Doing works to Lord Shiva with mind, speech, and action. What are the works? We just saw it. There are 2 kinds of works. Feeding the devotees of Lord Shiva. Number 1, feeding the devotees of Lord Shiva. Number 2, enjoying the festivals held at Lord Shiva's temple. Feeding the devotees of Lord Shiva is called Makeshwara Pooja. Seeing the appearance of Shiva devotees at Lord Shiva and worshipping them as Lord Shiva. But Tirumular says, he refers to the devotees as a moving temple, isn't it? Feeding devotees are equal to feeding Shiva itself. Who are those who have benefited from the worship of the devotees and attained liberation? In Tiruttonda Puranam, a total of 99 monks attained liberation through the worship of Lord Shiva devotees, like Ilayan Kudimara Nayanar, Sirittonda Nayanar. Next, enjoying the festivals held at Lord Shiva's temple. Second reason for taking human birth in this earth. This truth is explained in 9 verses of the 11 verses in Thirupathigam, which begins with the Mattita, which was composed by Thirugnanasambandar. In the 9 verses of the 2nd to the 10th verses, it is shown how special it is to witness and enjoy the festivals of Lord Shiva with our own eyes. The festival of Lord Shiva alone helps to liberation. All the others are noisy and harmful. When Thirugnanasambandar asked, will you not do those 2 things at the fruit of your life? The truthful statement, will you not do them, become medicine. Medicine for what? Medicine to get rid of death. Pumbavai too get rid of death. Her soul, which was in her Sukuma body, came and settled in the pot that was filled with bones and ashes. Rebirth occurred. The mantra Podiyo was the divine energy of Shiva that removed the mortal status of Pumbavai, instilled her soul into it, and created a body. How it was created? The mantra Podiyo was the divine energy of Shiva that removed the mortal state of Pumbavai, instilled her soul into it, and created a body. The pot that held the bones and ashes became a warm pot for rebirth. Just as during pregnancy, each organ of a child gradually develops, and the child emerges after 10 months. So did her body develop in that pot with Thirugnanasambandar sang the verse 1 by 1 from the Padigam. The 10th verses, the 10th month is the month when the baby is fully developed and emerges from the womb. Isn't that right? The 10th song of Sri Thirugnanasambandar talks about the Jains and Sakya. While singing that song, a red hand wearing bangle appeared, and the pot grew like goddess Lakshmi Devi emerging from the form within the lotus petals. Pumbavai came out. Pumbavai, who died as a 7-year-old child, remained in a pot for 5 years as bones and ashes, returned as 12-year-old, divinely beautiful lady. The devotees who were gathered in and around the chanted Hara Hara. The devotees who were gathered in and around the chanted Hara Hara. The sound of the devotees which chanted Hara Hara reached the heaven. Seeing that miracle, the devas and sags showered flowers. They folded their hands above their heads and fell to the ground, bowing to Lord's grace. Where else could this happen? Who could perform such a miracle? This magnificent form of Pumbavai was not created by Brahma according to the Siva Sankalpa. It is not a form of Maya matter from Maya bond. the holy image that was reborn without bond by the command of Shiva's wisdom as a creation of Shiva. You know what she was like? Kannidan vanapudanai kangalan mudiyakkanar, says divine secular. Unable to fully see her beauty with their eyes, they saw only what they saw first, like the sayings of Kamban, he who has seen shoulder has seen shoulder. Reborn by Sri Thirugnanasambandar, Pumba was shown with a radiant beauty. Divine Shekila has graced the divine rebirth of Pumba in 18 verses, from verse 2993 to verse 3006. No matter how many times you contemplate these verses, which brings to mind the sacred form of Pumbavai, the result of Lord Shiva's act of mercy, you will always be praising Lord Shiva's mercy. You know, what Pumbavai's long and thick hair was like? It was like a swarm of black petals swarming around the red lotus flowers, as Divine Secular says in verse 2090. You know how radiant the beautiful forehead adorned with the fragrant tilak looked next to it? In the 2094 verse, Divine Secular says that it was like the brilliance of rainbow appearing under the cloud. You know what those two thin eyebrows look like? That day when Cupid, Manmadan, was burned into ashes by the fire from the third eye of Lord Shiva, he looked like the bows he was carried before and after he was burned by Lord Shiva. This is what Divine Cheklar says in the 2095th verse. செருவெனும் தனவது ஒன்றும் சேமவில் ஒன்றுமாக இரு பெரும் சிலைக்க கண்முன் கொண்டு எழுந்தன போல. You know what the two eyes of the Pumbavai, who had a divine light that was more beautiful than a polished ruby, looked like. The cold rays of the moon were like two fishes swimming in the vast flood of moonlight. You know what the nose and coral mouth of the Pumbavai looked like? The coral mouth, red like a ruby, was like the dragonfly. Indra Kobam, the nose was a Kama ruby that changes colors to catch it. Kama ruby means chameleon. Peacock like Pumbavai's earringed ears resembled Cupid's two victory flags. A neck like a Sanganidhi, and above it, a face like a Padmanidhi appeared. In these 18 years, the divine Cheklar admires and prizes Lord Shiva's act of mercy in the form of sacred body of the Pumbavai, reborn by Sri Thirugnanasambandar. You know how Thirugnanasambandar saw the beautiful Pumbavai who came out of the pot after breaking it? Kannudal karunai vellam ஆயிரம் முகத்தார் கண்டார், says Divine Secular. He considered the mercy of Lord Shiva and saw her with 1,000 faces. You know what the father did? The father, Sivanesa, who performed tabas and gave birth to her, he saw his beloved daughter, who had been worshipped in the pot for 5 years as bones and ashes, emerged from the pot as a beautiful young lady did. புகழிவேந்தன் தாள் சென்னையில் பொருந்த முன் சென்று விழுந்தன, says David Cheklar in verse 3006. He fell like a tree without a root before the feet of Sri Samandar. When Samandar told him to take his daughter and go to his palace, Sivanesar bowed down to him and said, Lord, you should marry her. Lord, you should marry her. The daughter you gave birth to died after being bitten by a snake. She was reborn while I was watching with my own eyes by the grace of Lord Shiva. It is not proper to marry her. Samandar blessed him and sent him away. Sivanesar said, I will not give her to anyone. He took her away. Pumba went to the Kannimadam and worshipped Lord Shiva. In those days, women lived a life of tabab in the Kannimadam, thinking of only Shiva. Like the daughter of Sadangavi Sivacharya, Sangli Nachiya, Tilagavadiyar, and Karaikalamaya. Sri Samandar worshipped Kabalishwara and left Mylapur. Sri Samandar left Mylapur and visited many places of worship before returning to his place in Sirgali. He was 16 years old that time. In order to visit Samandar in Sirgali, 9 months like Murugan Nayanar and Neelakanda Nayanar, Neelanakka Nayanar came with his entourage. In this situation, Sivabada Irudaya and his entourage gathered together and thinking that this was the right time for Sambandar to get married. They approached Sambandar and requested him to marry suitable woman. Hearing this, Sambandar refused, saying, "This is not permissible." They asked that you must get married so that the Vedic path can flourish and the Saivism can be widely spread. And finally, Sambandar agreed. They arranged for the marriage of Nambiyandar Nambi's daughter, who belongs to the Marayar clan living in Tirunallur. The wedding was celebrated in Tirunallur. Sambandar worshipped Thiruthoniyappa and settled in a palanquin, reached Tirunallur surrounded by his devotees and relatives. He reached the temple called Perumanam, and worshipped the Lord. He took Tiruniru from the monastery next to the temple, applied a lot, and put on a garland and took the wedding attire. The auspicious music was played. The Vedic chanted the Vedic mantras, and the woman welcomed the auspicious things. Sambandar reached the wedding pavilion, got off the palanquin, and sat on the golden pedestal in the wedding pavilion. The Mangala woman brought the bride and made her sit on the right side of the Sambandar. Thiruneelanakka Nayanar performed the wedding rituals in accordance with the Vedic rules, prayed to Lord Shiva. Thirugnanasambandar held the bride's soft hand and rounded the fire that was created with mantras. When he reached the Perumanam temple, everybody followed him. Upon reaching the temple, Sambandar stood before the Lord and with a great sense of well-being said, "The grace who had previously possessed me will now grant me the grace of the Lord's feet." With the aim of removing the birth cycles of those who witnessed his marriage, he sang the Thirupadigam, "Kallur Perumanam Benda Kalumanam." "O Nada, O Namba, who was raised in Nallur, this is the time when I will join the shadow of Thiruvadi," he said. His heart moved with admiration. That time, Lord Shiva, the ocean of blessings, appeared as a great, pure, shining Jyoti towering above the Nallur Perumanam temple. The Lord said, "Gnanasambandar, you and your wife and all those who have come to witness your marriage should come and join this Jyoti." And he also set up a gate for entering the Jyoti. Saying this, Sambandar, in order to instruct the people in the world about liberation, sang and praised the Namashivaya Padigam, which begins with "Kadalaki Kasindu Kannir Malgi," and says, "The word Namashivaya is the true path of wisdom for everyone. All those who have come to the wedding, please enter this Jyoti to get rid of your birth cycles." He lovingly invited everyone. People who were trapped in the vast ocean of birth and unable to find the shore were fortunate enough to witness Samandar's wedding and entered the Jyoti that appeared there and attained the blissful life of birthlessness. Thiruneelanakka Nayanar, Murugan Nayanar, Sivabada Irudaya, Nambiyandar Nambi, Thiruneelakanda Yalpanar entered the Jyoti with their spouses and relatives. The devotees of Sambandar, the ascetics of the 6 religions, the devotees, the sags, and the others entered the Jyoti in the Lord with more pleasure. Jyoti of the Lord with more pleasure. After everyone who had come to witness the wedding entered the Jyoti, Thirugnanasambandar took his beloved by the hand, traveled around the divine Jyoti, entered it, and united with Lord Shiva. Immediately, the Jyoti disappeared and the temple appeared as before. Those who could not enter the Jyoti due to the delay stood in regret, sags, Vanabas, and others praised the Lord and rejoiced. I conclude our today's discussion now by worshipping and rejoicing at the feet of Srila Shri Guru Maha Sannidhanam, which gave me the privilege of contemplating and rejoicing the divine life of Sri Thirugnanasambandar. Siva Siva Thiruchitrambalam.